Hi, and welcome to Vegan Delicious. Okay, so while you're watching a little bit of this, I have to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I didn't intend to record this video. I wasn't feeling well when I recorded the video. I was extremely tired. So throughout the video, you're going to hear me threaten to not do any more recordings, but ignore all of that. During the entire process, besides the initial mixing, I did record everything else, and I think that the everything else I recorded was way more important than at least the initial mixing. But I do explain everything in the video. Get your pen and paper, take the timestamps, and yeah, have fun. This was a really great vegan meat alternative to record, and well, that's enough talk. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, just a quick video. I should have shown you this before, but basically I'm making a big batch of vegan chicken for the week. Not the week, it's going to be about 2 or 3 weeks worth of food. So what I did was I used jackfruit, a little bit of jackfruit, like maybe a can if you can only get it in cans, drained can, seasonings, then some water. And then I used 3 cups of vital wheat gluten and 2 really good cups of chickpea flour. Now, the chickpea flour I bought, because my normal supplier isn't available, is not as fine. So that's why I've got some of these little pieces here, but it won't matter to the flavor or the texture once it's cooked. Once I had used my mixer on that, I then used my blender. And my blender, I would basically get like these amounts here, and I would like cut it up because it looks really rough after you use the mixer with it, just to incorporate it all for like maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe 5-10 minutes. And then basically I use my blender in small batches like this. You can see how small this is. And then I would just use the scissors, cut it up, put it in the blender with some oil and a tad bit of water. I wanted it to be hydrated because what will happen is the gluten kind of grows into some of that water, but you can see it's not very what do you call it? It's not wet, right? So this is the same as what I did with my ham recipe, which you can see on the channel. Now, the thing is, with this, I've made enough now to cover me for over a week's worth of food. And this will probably be, like I say, 2 to 3 weeks worth of chicken. So what I've done is after I've done all of that, I kind of left them all to the side. I got 4 or 3 of them together and I've just basically rolled them up. And this is going to become like a chicken roll for like deli meat. Okay, so that's that one. And then these ones, the rest of them, I'm just basically doing them like this. I'm flattening them and then I'm braiding them. But I just discovered, I don't know if I've discovered it, but it's new to me, a way to, normally I would leave this for several days before I would cook it because I'm busy. But I just did something that was new that I don't usually do. So what I'm going to show you is how I get something I've only put in this method and I basically been able within half an hour to braid it, which is not normal. So all I did was, and I'll take the piece that all I've done with this is just put it in the blender to get it smooth, okay? So what I'm doing with this now is I'm getting it flat. Just flatten it out, all right? If you can't flatten it, you haven't left it long enough or it's too hard. Oh, also, I forgot to say, in the recipe, 2 things that I think can really make a difference to this is apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, any vinegar, because it helps break down the breadiness so that it doesn't taste like bread. It will taste like the seasonings you take on. So I use quite a good amount of apple cider vinegar. Ask me in the comments if you want a little bit more details. And I also use a little bit of miso paste, nutritional yeast, garlic powder, pink salt, pepper, and a few other seasonings like that. Anyway, this is the thing about how you get it to look like this. Yeah. So how I get it to look like this is I flatten it and then roll it. And when I'm rolling it, what's happening is I'm making it stronger. And by making it stronger, now I'm able to quickly pull it into a resilient braid, which normally, not in half an hour, maybe an hour or two, you could do that, but it's really resilient. Somehow by rolling it, you can see it just becomes a lot easier to braid. And I'll do another one here. This ankle is a little bit looser. But if you're having problems ever braiding, this is how I suggest to do it. Get it flat, roll it up, and then squeeze it together to get rid of any air pockets. And then from the middle, don't pull hard from the end because it might not be as strong. From the middle, just pull and then keep going until you've run out. And then when you get to the ends, you tie and tuck them in. And then all you do with this is just pan fry with a little bit of oil. And once you've done that, then you can put them onto a boil, or you can have like just a simmer, or you can put them in the oven and keep basting them every half an hour, 45 minutes or so for about a 3-hour cook. So that's essentially how I'm getting all of this together, and it will be a lot of food. You serve some of this. You could do one of these, I guess, if you wanted to, if you had a big thing, but they will get a bit bigger when they're cooking, and you just keep basting it with a really nice jus or gravy as it's cooking, and you slow cook that sucker for about 2.5 hours 2.5 to 3 hours in the oven. And if you don't want to do that, you can again slow cook, season up a pot of seasonings, like maybe mushrooms, garlic, all that kind of stuff. Put some seasonings in there, and then just leave it on a really soft simmer for about 3 hours, and it should come out really well. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, have a great day, and I'll show you what it looks like later. Okay folks, so following on from the earlier video, this is everything once I've already browned them. This is the ham roll, the chicken deli meat roll. And then these are some small offcuts from those last 3 pieces that I've essentially just cut in half and then flattened. And these are going to be like chicken burgers or chicken steaks. These ones I'll probably shred these off because they will have good shreddy texture because of the braiding and the way that they've been done. So these I'm just going to quickly brown them off, and then the rest will be ready to be cooked properly, because this is just getting the brown and sealing the shape, whereas once I actually cook them properly, it will actually cook the dough through. All right, I'll come back to you once I'm done. Okay, so this pot has, you can do this just as well with water, but I have some vegetable stock, which was basically made from doing a flash boil of some mushrooms. So all of that is good. There's vitamins and stuff in there. So I added a bit of salt, some garlic powder, and a couple of bay leaves. And I got it to a boil, and now it's just on a simmer. It's really not very high in heat. And I'm just going to drop the steaks. Ouch, 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 ouch. These ones, just coming straight off the fire. Normally I let them sit for a minute, but it really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to drop these in. And what I like about cooking these this way is if I kind of roasted this type, or like steamed it. If I steamed it, it kind of can be a little bit not as soft as I would like, because you don't want it to be soft, you don't want it to be too rubbery. But I do like cooking these particular types like this because they will do really well. And the good thing is they don't take that long, so that will be ready in an hour. As many of them as you put in, they'll be ready in an hour. Now for the others, I've prepared a baking tray with these others on it, and to be honest with you, there's way too much going on in this tray because these are gonna swell, so I'm gonna just take out a couple. I'll take out the
Hey, just for the fun of it, quick warning, you're going to start hearing me lose my words. I am extremely exhausted when recording this video, but bear with me, I'm still going to give you the good stuff.
You will do fine with this. And then I'm just going to take some of that mushroom stewing jus, whatever it's called, right? The water, the broth. I'm going to take some of that, and then I'm going to just season it up a little bit, put a little bit of thyme and a few other bits and bobs,
and then I'll just basically base it on top of this with a little bit of oil mixed in with it, and then just put this in the oven and just let it cook. I really love cooking this type of seitan in the oven because it tends to come out a completely different texture. It's kind of more shreddy, and it really has a lovely ambiance about it. And what I love about what I'm doing here is you can make the same one dough, and then you can actually get many different things out of it. So I'm getting some of my twisty chickens, which I can shred. I'm getting some vegan steaks. If you wanted to, you could get nuggets out of it. You could even cook these. And then when you're done, you should kind of chunk them off, and then you can bread them and make them nuggets. And then, of course, I've got the ham as well, which I've wrapped up. And I'm just going to steam that. That I'm not going to put in the water because I have 2 layers of baking powder. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? Baking paper, 2 layers of baking paper. Then I've got some foil just to keep it the shape. And then I've got the, what's this called? My brain is so done. Do you ever have that? Like, I'm so tired. Anyway, so I've got a cheesecloth, and then what I'm going to do, because it will expand and I want to hold its shape, I'm going to tie this with some butcher's twine, and then that I'm going to steam. So everything will basically be cooked. You don't have to cook it all at once. You could do this part and then chuck it all in the fridge. You know, I don't have to even cook this today. I don't know, I might not cook it today, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm tired, man. I need to lie down. But anyway, I've done the majority of it. So this is all in all, because I've been really busy at the same time, so I wasn't really only doing this, but I would say all in all about 2 hours of work for what will be like 3 weeks of vegan food that doesn't have to be bought. I used in total a 1 kilo bag of vital wheat gluten, and I used 4 cups of chickpea flour, and I did them in 2 batches, because basically 3 cups of vital wheat gluten to 2 cups of the chickpea flour. And then I mixed that up, and that's all that my mixer could hold. So I did all of that, then took that out, left it on the side, and then did the second batch. So I used the same amount of liquid. In terms of the liquid, I'd probably say it was like, let me see, hang on. So I used my blender, and I would say probably about 1 liter, maybe more than 1 liter, maybe 1.2 liters, which is 40 to 50 ounces. And remember, I used a few of those seasonings I mentioned earlier on. Water, if you have broth, use the broth because it will taste better. I used some coriander powder. I don't think I used bay leaf today, but you can, bay seasoning or any other seasoning you like. And water, and I just had a little bit of jackfruit left over, so I just blended that in. And I love using the jackfruit in this as well because it helps the texture a lot. It helps it to not be so bindy. So I just put all of that together along with like maybe a tablespoon of miso. I could have put more, but didn't, and just blended it all. And here we have this. So hopefully this makes sense. I wasn't even going to do a video, but I had some help in the kitchen this morning with some other things, like, you know, washing the dishes up and getting fruits and vegetables and stuff cut up. So I have somebody who comes and helps me a couple of times. 2 people come and help me a couple of times a week with that. And so she just had her hands free, which is why I was being able to film with my hands showing. But yeah, hopefully my little video, impromptu as it is, you guys know what I'm like. I'm not at that stage where I've got the time to produce or create all these fancy videos. I'm a home cook, and I just want you to know that it's possible for you to make vegan food, vegan meat, particularly vegan meat alternatives, meat-free alternatives at home for dirt cheap compared to what you would buy at a restaurant. If you went to a vegan restaurant and you bought, you know, something that had like, you know, this vegan chicken or my vegan ham or whatever, it will cost so much. And you can make this at home. You know what's in it. There's no chemicals in there. You just can be more happy with knowing what you're going to eat. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Yeah, I realized I couldn't drop you off like that, because if I was watching a video like this, I'd want to see the whole process. So as tired as I am, you're going to just have to excuse my voice, because as time goes on, I'm going to sound more and more tired. All right, y'all have to forgive me. So I took out one more of these because it's going to expand and it needs space. And then when I am cooking it, I also need space to turn them over. So I've got some of that, the broth water. I added some thyme to it and some bay powder and oil. What else did I put in? I think that was it. And what you want to do is just moisten it so that when it cooks, it cannot get dry. That would ruin it. So it needs to stay moist enough that it's basically like a roast chicken. You're cooking it and it's springing its own juice. Obviously, that doesn't happen here. So you've got to give it something so that it can roast and not... we want it to cook, but not for it to, you know, be like a fried thing. So that is already looking good. I've got videos where I've shown you this part already, but I'll include it all the same. So that looks pretty good already. And honestly, like if you were to sit down and eat, if you really love this stuff, you could probably sit down and eat in one sitting. I wouldn't be able to. I can't eat this anyway. My husband can eat this. I can't eat the gluten. Or I have an intolerance. I could eat it, but I would have trouble. But my hubby can eat it. I used to eat this stuff and I'm bit bummed I can't anymore, but anyway, that's another story. But I've had people go on my videos and say, oh, I could sit down and eat that in one sitting because I love it so much, but I wouldn't. You just basically, you know, have a portion of that, put some carbs with it, some veggies, a salad, you're sorted. So that's why it lasts so long. It doesn't have to just be a couple of days, depending on how many people you are feeding. And once you cook this, it freezes really well. So you could freeze it prior to cooking. You could freeze it once it's half cooked, just fried. You could freeze it when it's just wrapped up and it's not even part cooked. You can freeze it at any part of the process, or just leave it in the fridge at any part of the process. The good thing is the gluten will continue to develop. So the longer you leave it, the more tender and delicious it will become. So I'm going to put this in the oven now. I have my oven on 250 Celsius to preheat. But then I'm going to take it down to about 150 and it is going to slow cook. I'm not interested in fast cooking this. You don't want to fast cook this. Every hour, 40 minutes to an hour, just check on it, flip it over, add a little bit more juice, and then that's it. All right, so, and I'll just show you how the other stuff is going. So this is the steaks, which are cooking great. You can see, I don't know if you know looking at it, you know what it is. That's a mushroom, don't worry about that. But if you can see here, you've got a nice kind of, you know, a certain floppiness that you want to have in a chicken burger or vegan chicken burger. You don't want it to be stiff and horrible. And so keeping it on that low simmer, that's what gives me that. And it's also going to stop it from getting too tough because it is lubricated. It's still wet. So it's cooking in a lovely sauce or lovely broth. So it will come out really good. And I can already see that the texture is what I want. It's not hard and stuff. And you got a little bit of shreddiness to it, but it's not going to be as much because it's not braided. But that's a really good texture. And so I'm really happy with that. All right, the rest, I think I'm just going to throw it in here, or I'll just keep the rest in the fridge. I will steam the deli ham. I'll steam that later if I've got energy. If not, I'll steam it tomorrow. All right, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm going to try my best to keep going with this video, but I'm so tired. But I will try my best to keep going with the video. Have a great day so far. I hope you're having a good day. Let me know in the comments what you're eating today. What do you want to see me cook? What problems do you have when you're eating or you're trying to make this kind of stuff? Just let me know in the comments. I will respond. Okay, folks, so it's been about an hour, and I'm going to take these out and then just leave them to drain. I used some of that water in my quinoa. I'm food prepping for the week. The rest of it, hang on, let me show you. Right, for the roast meat, look at that. I have already turned it over once and put some more of that jus on it, the broth. And as you can see at the top, I'm making some roast potatoes. Again, this is meal prep, so it'll be cooked, cooled down, and then frozen. Okay, so let's get these out. I'm already using my oven rack, so I'm just going to put them in here, which has it's a bowl with its own draining board. How many pieces? I think I've got 6 in here. And then as they cool down, they will shrink a little bit in their thickness. All right, so just going to leave that to do its thing. And in an hour, when I'm ready to cook lunch, I will basically just take 1 or 2 of these and then cook them up. But essentially that's it. This is all done. It's already ready. It just needs to cool down. Then once it's cooled, it can go in the refrigerator and be taken out ready to cook. You can pan fry them, cook them. Literally just going to take maybe a minute or so. I wouldn't microwave it, but definitely in the oven, an air fryer, or on the pan. All right, well, so that's the first part done. The other stuff that was left over, like the ham, like the log, I put that in the fridge. I'm too tired to do that now. And then I'm going to use the rest of this when I cook some other stuff. So just let that cool down and then I will refrigerate that as well. All right, that's it. Okay, so while you're watching this, I want you to do a little bit more of a dive on how I got to this point, because I think it's important since I didn't record the initial part. And I know quite a lot of you will want to kind of fully understand what goes into it. So my process is to get everything out to start with. I have a mixer, and I usually use my dough mixer with the dough hook on a cross between number 1 and number 2. And the first step is to get your blender and blend all of your seasoning, your oil, everything that comes with it. And I will list that in the description, and I'm also going to list it just now when I'm talking, but I get all of that in one blender because I want to make my dough with the liquid already having all the seasoning and everything that it needs to make the meat how I want it to be. When I cook this, after it's cooked, I don't have to season it again. I just do so as additional seasoning for whatever flavor that I want to bring into the meal for that day. So it's really important to make sure that your initial liquid is not just water. It must be flavorful and delicious. And if you put some salt in there, it's going to taste just a little bit salty, but remember that's going to be dispersed through several kilos of vegan meat. So that's okay if it tastes just a tad salty. I try not to go too far with that, but let me give you an understanding of my process. So first of all, get my blender full, get everything blended in there. And then I get 3 cups of the Vital Wheat gluten. And then I get 2 big scoops, like slightly more generous than a cup, of the chickpea flour. I put that into the mixer, and then I just kind of turn them around a little bit with a spoon or with a spatula or something like that, just to kind of incorporate them a little bit. And then I'll pour in some of my 50% essentially of my liquid, and then I keep the 50% aside, because I'm going to do that twice because of the size of my mixer, as I was saying earlier. So it's really important to ensure that you start the mixer at kind of like maybe a 1. Just use your silicone spatula to scoop it down, stop it, mix it, kind of get it from being at the bottom, and just allow that to happen for about 5 to 7 minutes. And then once it starts incorporating nicely, put it on 2, leave it on 2 for a couple of minutes, stop it, just make sure everything is incorporated. You will immediately start seeing gluten strands develop. If you put too much chickpea flour in there, you will not see the gluten strands develop quite so soon. They will take longer. So it's important that you keep the ratio that I've said. I've tried it with more chickpea flour, and then it turns out not quite the same as what you're watching in the video. Once you're finished with that, there's a really important part you need to do, which is to make sure that once you've done those 2 batches, that you make sure that you cut up, kind of portion it out, cut up, not put too much in your food processor or your blender, but use a little bit of water and a little bit of oil. And then you're basically reblending those small little bits, like I said at the beginning of the video, to get them to come out that way. And you do not want to put your hand, please do not put your hand into the blender to take it out. You're going to do it so often that I don't want anything to happen to your hand. So make sure that you put your hand, put it in, put a little bit of the water, a little bit of the oil, and I'm talking like maybe half a teaspoon, a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon's worth, and then just a little bit of water, and then take that out, dump it out, and then put it back on, and then cut up again. Just don't put your hand in the blender, even if it's off, just don't do it. And then finally, once you finish doing all of that, and I'd say probably that's what takes a bit of time, especially if your blender doesn't like too much use. So you may need to kind of speed that up a little bit, kind of do a little bit and then be working on other things and then keep going as you're going through. But if you don't blend your pieces, it will still come out nice, but you won't be able to get it into the knots straight away. You will have to probably wait a day for it to develop a little bit more. It's just a lot more length of time of process. So it is easier if you just spend that 30 minutes just getting everything cut up, blended. And when you take it out of the blender, it's going to look like mince. It's going to be so bitsy. But once you tip it out and then you pull it together, it will look like mine in the video. If it is too dry, it won't look like mine. If it is too wet, it will kind of look like mine, but it'll be sloppy and floppy and it won't be able to stay together. So make sure that you do not over wet it. Just do a little swidge of water, like, maybe a tablespoon or so to the amount of dough that you saw me doing, and you should be okay. If you get into any trouble, send me a comment below and I will be happy to answer. Anyway, it's quite a lot of talking. Let's get back to the video.
Folks, as I mentioned, as the day goes on, I'm going to sound more and more tired, so this is not my best me. However, my hubby has already had his barbecue steaks. He loves it, so it tastes really, really good. And now we're just taking this out. It's been on for, honestly, everything's a blur. I'm going to say it's probably about 3 hours. So you can see it's pretty, maybe 2.5 hours. You can see it's pretty much cooked. And it's lovely and shreddy. And it's got a real nice kind of skin type texture. Not really skin, but you know what I mean. Really good texture. You can see the shreds here. Now I've turned it over like maybe three times already. Just gonna flip it, and then I'm gonna go to bed. I'm going to leave it in the oven hot, so that it continues to cook from inside. And these are really cooked nicely. Very different to the texture if you had boiled or steamed it. I just want to show you this. You can see how nicely that comes away. Obviously it's moist because it's been sitting in the juice, but it will be even better once this is cool. You can see it's starting to kind of like can show you the shreddy bits, which is really good. So anyway, the secret to this is vinegar and jackfruit. I use fresh jackfruit because I can get it where I live, and then we boil it and then I freeze it for whenever I need it or just cook it. So I just defrosted it and you can see how great that looks. Doesn't that look great? So this needs to just cool down. I'm gonna just put a little bit more of that juice on it. And remember, this is oil along with some broth and a little bit of seasoning. Just put that on top. And I'm just gonna leave that in the oven. Maybe I'll just give it another 10 minutes on just under 150 degrees. And then I'll just leave it, and then tonight it will be cooled down and then I can package it up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm really sorry, I'm so tired, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what you can do at home on your own. All right, thank you for watching. Stay delicious, y'all. Stay up, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna try to get this video out today, if I can. If not, I'm gonna get it out over the weekend. Either way, when you see it, you see it. And let me know if you've got any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. All right, take care. Bye. Okay, folks, I might still sound tired, but I feel a little bit better than I did earlier. Here we are with the pretty much finished product. It's now
about 2 hours since I left it in the oven for it to just do its thing, cooling down. And now it's getting really good. First of all, look at that. Not too damn shabby, eh? Looks really good. The underside is moist, more moist than the top side. And it just looks great. So let's do some shreddy business so you can see what it's like. Kind of hard to do this with one hand, but you can see here it's really easy to pull apart, which is what you want from a vegan meat. And just look at that. This is honestly so easy to make, and I'm really happy with the new roll and braid strategy that I've been using. And I truly think the trick of this texture and getting this texture like right more than not is the vinegar and the jackfruit. Like I said before, it wasn't even a lot of jackfruit, it was just a little bit. This will be better to shred when I've got two hands free, but I just thought I'd show you how great that looks and how shreddy it comes out. And it's not 100% cold yet, it's still like tepid. But I just think something that comes apart that easily just looks so great. It's not overly chewy. Doesn't that look like, well, you know, sometimes I say it on my channel and then people are like, hey, why do you want to make something that looks like meat? You're a vegan. But this looks pretty good to me. Doesn't that look great? Look at that. Just comes apart the right type of way. So that is pretty much it. I've shown you how everything all works together and how to get lovely shreddy vegan chicken at home. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. This will be a few weeks of food, this along with the others that I made. And you can see each item is about the size of my hand. That would be like 2 to 3 meals for one of those. And I've still got more of the other different parts of it as well, and the steaks that I did separately. So you can get loads of different types out of one set of dough, which means, you know, is so beneficial. Now you can pull this off, shred it, you can do stir fries, you can put it in sandwiches, there's all kinds of different things. You don't have to re-season it, but if you want to add additional flavor, you can. That's really good, texture's good. That's really good. That's really good. I need to not swallow that because that's really, really good. As some of you know, if you know, you know, I'm not supposed to be eating gluten, but golly, oh, let me not get myself too excited. But have a look at that. Not too shabby. Anyway, stay delicious. Thanks so much for watching. Have an incredible morning, afternoon, evening, or night, no matter where you are. And remember to comment below, like. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe, comment. It all helps in the algorithm to make sure that those who are thinking about going a little bit of a healthier route can see that there are options if they absolutely love a meaty texture. And also for vegans like us or vegetarians, that they don't have to be buying the stuff from the store that isn't healthy. But look at that. Imagine you have a meal and you just have a few pieces like this on your plate. And it just makes that feeling that you're having something that's a little bit meaty to go along with your sides. Not too bad, would you say? I would. All right, thanks so much for watching. Have an incredible, incredible day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Stay delicious. Bye.